Hey, welcome back to another episode of The One Row.
Hey, guys.
My name is David. That's Jamie.
Yes. What's up?
What's up?
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. Jamie, happy 7th anniversary.
David.
This is how you wanted to spend your anniversary, was doing the live stream with me. I'm sure.
Totally. To hang out with you guys for sure.
Yes. So it's not our actual anniversary, but the 7 years from the day we met.
Yes. So it's our meet-iversary. Is that what they call it?
It works. It works. We'll
Something
run
like
with
that.
it. We'll run
I don't know. I just got a bracelet today. So I was like, cool. Thanks.
Nope. She got a bracelet. And I got to do a live stream.
You got some points.
Yes, Garen, great point. Great point. Definitely got to keep the maintenance on that vehicles. Jamie, how's the Jeep running these days?
It's not.
It's
David.
not. Speaking of keeping maintenance up on the vehicles, our Jeep's dead. The master control unit burnt out again, and it's dead in my driveway, and it's going to sit there until I feel like paying for a tow truck to tow it. So
I miss it.
We'll get there. But I know what it's going to cost, and I honestly don't feel like paying for it. So it's going to sit there for a little bit longer until we need the second vehicle anyway.
True.
Yeah. I mean, we've got 2 kids' vehicles plus mine. So
yeah. So we have help.
We have help. We're good. What's up, Matt Henrik? What's up, VA Prepper? How are you doing?
What's up?
Slap Shots Roadhouse. What is up, Matt Henrik? How are you? Christian Mojica.
Long time no see.
That's
Matt.
right. Irish Rover in Florida. Howdy. Jeremy Dirks.
What is up, man?
GS Buck 99.
Yo.
Welcome. All right. So today, what's up, Utah Mike?
Jeep equals heat.
I tell you, man, this is my 3rd Jeep. Okay. I had like a 93. I had no issues with that one. And then I had a 2003, I think it was. I had no issues with that one. But this 2018 one I have it has been the most flea-bitten Jeep I've ever seen.
I love it though.
It's fun.
Awesome.
It looks amazing, but the electronics in that thing. I've had the air conditioner burn out. I've had to replace the air conditioner twice. The master control units burnt out twice.
Dang,
no, this is my 3rd time.
A long time.
It's going to be a long live stream if I just keep going through the problems on that Jeep.
So Garen, we have the Jeep, but then we also have a kid mobile, and that's usually what David drives. It's our Tahoe. It's a nice car. It's a nice vehicle. Yeah, it's big and
it's old. It's really high miles now. We're almost to 200,000.
The top doesn't come down, so of course I miss the Jeep.
True. And to your point, Utah Mike, I'm going to be trading in the Tahoe for a Toyota 4Runner here soon, probably in May, if I were to give you a best estimate. Got a couple things I got to take care of, but then I'm going to be trading the Tahoe in for a Toyota.
What's up, Dennis the Bourbon Dad?
What's up, Dennis the Bourbon Dad?
You are so kind
How are
with
you?
Your kind words.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, 7 years to the day since our first date.
Our first date.
We had been talking for about
a week.
Yeah, 3, 4, 5 days beforehand before we finally.
Probably since that Sunday. We met on a Friday, so.
That's right. We actually have pictures of our first date, but
yes, we do.
So funny enough, we didn't take them ourselves.
I haven't aged a day.
I have aged
I'm kidding.
About a millennia since then. Lord Sarin, how are you doing?
What's up?
That's
What's
okay.
Up, Lord. Remember I told him I was going to call him Lord.
That's right. Yep. Oh, you're converting your wife's laptop to Linux. Well, that's fun. Goodbye, Microsoft. Yeah. Linux is fun. I've actually done a bunch of stuff with Ubuntu. Red Hat. I mean, that was more the company stuff, but I did a lot of my own stuff was in Ubuntu. And then there's another Linux version that I used a lot back in the day, but it's been years and years and years and years and years. Yeah, our Tahoe's up to, like I said, it's about 194,000 miles right now. I'm hoping that we'll get it traded in before it hits 200, but I'm just going to trade it in, get what I can for it. It's been paid off for a couple of years, and then pick up the a used. I'm going to do a used 4Runner, Toyota 4Runner. Yeah, don't know how used actually. It depends more on the actual particular model. Is what I care more about. Low miles in a particular model, as opposed to like a brand new whatever. I don't want to get a huge car payment or anything like that.
What's up, 628?
What is up, 628?
Hello, y'all.
Well, appreciate you hopping on. Yeah. Hopefully you've enjoyed some of the videos. Coming in tonight from Charlotte area of North Carolina. We spent some time down in Charlotte.
Yeah, we're familiar. I used to live in Jacksonville, North Carolina, and Wilmington, North Carolina. So
that's right.
Very familiar.
That's right. Back in the day, we used to stop at Southern Spirits just south of Charlotte for some barrel picks. But Christian Mojica had a 2015 Wrangler that put me off to Jeep for good. I got a Tacoma. My wife still has a Grand Cherokee, and I want to trade it in for a 4Runner. Yeah, I've been wanting a 4Runner for years, and it was just kind of like we got the Tahoe paid off a couple years ago, and then it's just been like, don't want another car payment kind of thing.
Right.
So then we got the Jeep paid off, and that paid off, and it's like
plenty of kids to start getting them their starter cars.
Yeah.
So
I'm doing a lot of that. Mint. I played around with Mint, but that wasn't the one I was thinking of.
What's up, Mandolin?
Love the Silverado. Yeah. The fuel prices right now are starting to really hurt. Speaking of prepper topics. So the theme of tonight's live stream really is whatever you guys want to talk about. Because right now there's a whole lot of stuff going on in the world that makes everything very, very uncertain. Back when the Iran conflict all kind of was about to happen, I said, if it happens, we might see, oil barrel prices, raw crude up to, $120 a barrel, gas prices at 470 or at 375 at national average. Man, it's blowing past all that. It's getting rough. They're saying that oil crude could actually hit $180, $200 a barrel. So we could be looking at, we won't be looking at shortages just because we actually produce most of our own oil here in the United States, but pricing will get pretty wild. But we shouldn't, back in the 70s, had that, like the gas lines and stuff. We shouldn't see anything like that because back then we did rely on other countries for oil. But now we don't. We pretty much produce all of our own oil. So we shouldn't see anything like that. But the pricing is getting really cost prohibitive, and I know jet airline ticket prices are getting crazy as well. So even if you just want to you're like, I don't want to drive somewhere, I'll just fly. No, flying is really expensive. Plus with the TSA budget thing going on with Congress not funding TSA, you have massive lines at airports. They're actually shutting down, I think 5% of
my parents
air traffic.
Flying out tomorrow tomorrow evening.
That's going to be brutal. It's going to be brutal.
Yeah, to go to Texas.
Yeah, it's going to be it's brutal right now to fly. What's up, UFO Skies? How you doing? $4 gas in Florida. Yeah, I pumped up at 380 yesterday, or was it Friday? I think it might have been Friday.
Yeah, probably not.
True. But there's just a lot of uncertainty. So one of the things that's interesting, if somebody were to ask me, which nobody did, but if anybody did ask me, this is what I would tell them. When this whole Iran thing happened and we started seeing, the first day of the war and then the second day of the war and each successive day of the war, there were less and less missiles and drones being fired off by Iran, right? And it really, really dropped down to just a couple a day. And then it fell off. And it really did seem like that was the maximum capability that they had. They were throwing at everything. And I think that they actually held back a lot of their actual special capability. And we're starting to see that now. They were able to put out a ballistic missile that was targeting Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean, which is a little military base that we have, us and the Brits share down south of India in the middle of the Indian Ocean. But it's a huge capability for us because it allows us to actually stage things there in a very secure place that's far away from anything else. But the United States did not believe that Iran had the ballistic missile capability to reach Diego Garcia, nor reach into Paris, London, and a lot of our European partners and friends. And it turns out that they actually do. They could hit London, they could hit Paris, etc. And they had been hiding that. None of us thought they had that capability. So whether that justifies the war more or less, I don't want to get in the politics of that side of it, but more so that Iran is now showing capability that we did not think they had, which is an interesting development, I'll say. Now, I know that we believe they have about 1,000 pounds of enriched uranium at 60% that we're going to have to do something about if we want to address it. I guess we don't have to do something about it. It's all optional at this point, but we might have to, if they end up deciding to do something about that, getting a hold of that enriched uranium is going to be interesting as well. Yeah, that's one of the things that I'm a little surprised hasn't been a stronger play. I mean, even if China didn't officially go after, Garen is a great thought. Even if China didn't officially go after Taiwan, even if they just started, saber rattling about it a little bit, and maybe start not even like an official blockade of it or anything, but just kind of put the ships in place to help, because it would probably force us to separate our some of our strength that we've built around the Middle East and bring some over into the South China Sea, just in case. And so I'm surprised we haven't seen them do that just for the sake of supporting China supporting Iran. However, I think China is hesitant to do anything because a lot of their oil was coming from Venezuela and Iran. And now that they aren't getting it from them because of what's going on, what we've done to Venezuela and what we're in the midst of doing to Iran, I think that's kind of pinning China back a little bit and making them a little hesitant. You're feeling it, Mike. I haven't been paying too much attention to the actual stock market, but if it's been hurting for you, it doesn't surprise me. Just so much uncertainty. It's one thing the market hates more than anything else is uncertainty. The precious metals thing, man, gold had gotten up and silver had gotten up so high, and then now it's they've definitely come down a little bit. Do I think they're going to crash more? Maybe. I think that it's hard for me to say. I'm not I don't trade precious metals. I follow the pricing of them a little bit, but more so just to know when to try to buy more silver, because I don't buy gold. I pretty much exclusively buy silver. So yeah. Yep. So the real big thing for the uncertainty in Iran right now is what additional capability do they have that we don't know about? And so that, again, they demonstrated a new ballistic missile capability. They're claiming to have new torpedoes and rockets, which we didn't, we haven't seen them use before. They were able to actually wing an F-35, which was a new development as well. The pilot thankfully was able to land safely, but again, for them to even get close to an F-35 was an interesting development. So they're showing a lot of capability, which we did not believe that they had. So that's going to be in Iran. So the big things for Iran that I'm watching are what additional capabilities they have. The second is what we decided to do with Karga Island, which is where Iran processes like 90% of their outgoing oil. So what happens there? Are we going to actually try to take it over, take control of it? And then the third thing is, are we going to spend special operators or any kind of ground force in to secure the uranium, the enriched uranium? Those are, to me, the big three things with Iran, not including any kind of Russian or Chinese involvement. Utah Mike says drones, air, and sea is my concern. Yeah. I'm a little surprised that Iran has been able to continue to fight as much as they have and hit targets. I think their capability was a little surprised by that, frankly. Matt says time to bring in the F-22s. F-22s they're my favorite planes of all times, man. They're the best. I've loved them. If I could fly a jet, a fighter jet, it would be an F-22. Of all of it. Roy Venator says the F-35 is a huge size. They are fairly large, but because of their electronics capabilities, they're actually supposedly supposed to be hard to hit. I mean, they're not particularly fast compared to some of the other aircraft. They're not particularly maneuverable. They're kind of just it's basically, a weapons platform, more so than a fighter plane. But so anyway, I would love to know from all of you, what are your concerns, whether it be Iran, the economy. I put a video out the other day on China, what happens if China does something, what that's going to do to supply chains and pricing and stuff. So, I mean, that's I think a real threat that, we could see some real changes to supply chain availability of items and pricing, obviously. Okay, so Here in, another thing too is like here in Virginia, we're facing the, proposed weapons legislation, and which prohibits essentially AR-15s or any other rifle that could be considered an assault firearm, as well as magazines greater than 15 rounds. So yeah, we'll have to. That's another big thing that we got to keep our eyes on. Garen says A-10 saved my brother's life several times. A-10s are awesome. I think A-10s are amazing. I'm so glad that the military is continuing to fly those things, because that close, what is it? What do they call it? Close ground air support, or whatever the term the military uses. I apologize. I'm just not in that world enough. But the A-10s are one of the few things that they can actually, do that really close air support with. Have you guys seen the little crop duster airplane that they jerry-rigged a bunch of weapons to? Close combat support. Thank you, Matt. I knew somebody had saved the day. But yeah, they've got that close air support, close combat support. But there's that crop duster that they tied a bunch of weapons to, and so that little thing can do a lot of what the A-10 can do as far as like close combat support. But it can loiter for like a lot longer, because it's I believe it's a propeller driven plane, so it can actually stay up for like, I want to say like 5, 6, 7 hours, whereas the A-10 can only stay up for 2 or 3 hours at most, something like that. Not again, talking out of my butt a little bit. I'm not an expert on this stuff at all, on that particular stuff. Many of you guys would know a lot better. Matt says, I legit think that the Dow is keeping the F-22s under wraps from a combat standpoint until absolutely necessary. Well, I think the last thing we want to do is to give potential Chinese and Russian radar systems the ability to see, quote unquote, see the electronic signatures, the capability, not the raw capabilities necessarily, but the electronics capabilities of the F-22s, of the B-2s, etc. So I think that's very, very true. Bourbon Politico says, what's somewhat problematic with all sanction relief. The reporting says Iran could net 14 billion, gaining more financial relief over the next few weeks than they did during all of the JCPOA. That's going to be interesting to see if they did that. Yeah. I mean, they got pallets of cash from the JCPOA, so we'll see if that happens. Hopefully not, but yeah, the A-10 is an engineering marvel. It really, really is. There was a company that was in the building, one of the buildings I used to work in Virginia, and they made replacement parts for the A-10. So I guess the lore is that the A-10, they lost the original design documents for the A-10. And so this company would essentially manufacture specific parts for the A-10. They would kind of backwards engineer these parts for the A-10 and then make them and supply them. It's kind of an interesting business model. Scenic says, hey guys, getting to jump on for a bit before I take care of the dogs.
Nice.
Yes, we are a dog friendly channel. As many of you know, Jamie has a dog channel called A Mom with Dogs. There it is right there. All right, at there, Mom with Dogs. Those are my 2 dogs right there. That's my dog Fitz and then my dog Brady. I know. She's like, then why don't you take care of him more than I do?
Yeah, man. Where were you when Fitz puked the other day?
I know. Like, hey, Fitz puked on the floor.
That's my life.
Yep.
I'm just kidding.
Matt says, fun fact, the gun on the Warthog is designed and built by GE Aerospace. They allowed Fairchild to design the aircraft. Well, the best part, one of my favorite things about the A-10 as well is they literally took the gun and then they said, how do we put this in plane form? And figured out how to wrap a plane around it, which is awesome. GE, we make things that spin: washers, dryers, jet engines, and A-10 guns. Yeah, pretty much. Carson Poole said, oh, one thing about it, if the dollar goes south, we are all in it together, rich and poor. Yeah, that's a great point. We are at a point in the dollar value where if the dollar were to start tanking, we would be in a pretty bad situation across the board. What's the top prep item on my list for this week? So,
good question.
Yeah, great question, Utah Mike. Thank you for that. My biggest things that I'm focused on right now over the next couple of months, and I say it that way, is because we're looking at that gun ban here in Virginia coming into place July 1st, 2026. And I'm actually I'm exchanging communications with Palmetto State Armory right now because I'm trying to figure out some logistical things of what is and is not allowed. What they would and would not be allowed to sell me if I drove to South Carolina after the gun ban and then drove back from South Carolina. So I'm going to be doing a video on potential loopholes in the Virginia gun ban here coming up very soon. But a lot of what I'm focused on right now is, AR-15 lower stripped receivers and lower handgun, like PSA daggers. I want to get some of those, and then capacity magazines. So those are kind of like top things for me. Outside of that, I've noticed one of the things that I do want to do. So some of my old food storage is actually getting up to 28 years. The oldest cans that I have, the number 10 cans I have, are they're almost 28 years old now. And so the max life on those is supposed to be about 30 years. So some of those things I'm actually wanting to prep up my food a little bit and just kind of cycle through those. The ones that are expiring are all just the wheat. It's just, unprocessed wheat berries. And so I will probably cycle those out. And then, so I want to stock up a little bit more on wheat. And then we've actually been using our flour a lot lately. So I'll probably be trying to order some more flour. So probably prepping up on our food a little bit. Plus the kids had some camping trips, so they took out some of our Mountain House meals. So Mountain House meals, some of the long-term food storage, and then gun stuff for the ammo ban. Those are probably my priorities over the next couple of months. I wanted to get into silencers and stuff, but I just don't think that's going to happen from a budget standpoint. I don't have any suppressors right now, so I probably pass on them and just not worry about them right now and focus more on just the receivers themselves. Good question. What about you guys? What are you guys focused on? Matt says, what do you think should be the first basic skill to learn for GTFO? Shoot, move, or communicate? Matt, I'll tell you, I think the very, very first skill that folks need to be working on for GTFO is basic fitness. Just the ability to actually carry your gear for an extended period on foot, I think is probably my number one thing that I think people need to really be focusing on is getting a little bit better fitness. Shoot, move, and communicate. It's hard to say, because I think the biggest shortcoming that I'm seeing in a lot of people is you'll have one person in the family who is the primary prepper, who's the guy mostly into it. Mm-hmm. But then the wife and the kids are, they'll tag along for some of it, but they don't participate in the same level of training. Right. So I would say number one is just fitness for everybody. But then two would be actually getting the other members of your family to actually start participating more in preparedness stuff. Like in my house, like I've not had an honest, legit, real conversation with the kids about, hey, if we locked the doors and we had a real situation going on outside the house, how are we going to do security? Right. Mm-hmm. Like I haven't actually I've thought through it but I haven't actually had that conversation with the kids. And again, my kids are, teenagers and older at this point. So, it's not like I'm trying to have that conversation with a 5-year-old. I can have real conversations with kids. All of my kids know how to shoot, and they're all decent shots from just a, target range type shooting, but, they don't know any kind of tactics and stuff. So not that I would really necessarily teach them tactics, but have them, if I'm, stationing them at certain points to actually, do guard duty, right? Like having that kind of little bit more of involving them in training, I think is probably my number two. So that's probably my number two. And then three, I think, is communication. or move, shoot, move, and communicate map with the group, right? So
I mean, you did a really good job when you had all the kids. They build their backpacks, and so I mean, you taught them how to use everything in their backpack too. So.
Yeah, no, and that's a start, but I need to get them more involved in
video coming. You should do it.
I should. Yeah,
with all the kids. It was actually really awesome, and I'm like, you should have filmed that. And it was a few years ago.
Yeah, it was before we started doing prep content, but
yes.
But fair point. Steve Brown says hello from Beggs, Oklahoma. Well, welcome, Steve Brown. Welcome.
Oklahoma. Cool.
Check out Peak freeze dried meals. They're my favorite. I actually have some Peak, so I have some Mountain House, some Peak, and there's a third company that I bought some from. I can't remember who it is. It's, but yeah, I've actually never eaten the Peak ones that I've purchased. I'll have to see if my boys, when they went camping this weekend, they took 9 different freeze-dried meals with them. I'll have to see if any of them were. I know they had some Mountain House, but I don't know if they had any Peaks or not. So I'll have to check with them, see how they liked them, if they ended up having the Peak ones. Yeah, Carson Pool, water, food, water, dried foods, ammo. That's actually a great point, because if I were to say, number one is the restricted items are going to be, banned in Virginia shortly. So picking those up while I still can, kind of helping out my long-term food storage and ammos. I try not to buy when stuff spikes, but my 9mm target ammo is starting to get uncomfortably low, much lower than I would want it to be. 5.56, I'm great. 7.62. None of those I'm worried about, but my 9mm is definitely getting a little bit light, much lighter than I'd like. What's up, Bourbon and Q? How are you doing?
What's up?
Up the protein food storage. I need to check my protein. I know I've got quite a bit, but I don't know what the expiration date on that looks like. I mean, obviously I've got tons and tons of beans, but I have like the what is the textured beef protein, and I've got some other stuff like that as well. That's nice to have. So I need to probably bring that up a little bit as well. That's a good point out there, Utah Mike. Alan Watson said, if you're still trying to come down, yeah. We're facing some issues here in Virginia. That's for dang sure. I was having a conversation with a buddy over text about the restrictions. So I've been playing around with trying to find loopholes in the law, and I think I found a few. But I'm actually, like I said, I'm talking with PSA right now to try to figure out some of those things, and then again, I'm not an attorney, so I'm working on doing a video. But when I do the video, I'm kind of torn, because I don't know if I want to. The more known the loophole is, the more likely the government will do something to close the loophole, if you know what I mean. So I'm debating whether or not making that video is a good idea. But it's like, I want you guys to know about the loopholes and how that, again, I'm not an attorney, but once you hear the logic and you see how it's worded and stuff, I think there's actually still some things that we can do that might work really, really well. Chasing 70s, what about things to barter with? Yeah, I think having stuff to barter with is great. In my opinion, the thing is before you focus on barter items, you want to have all of your core items in a good place, right? So you want your basic food, your basic water, your clothing, cold weather gear, ammo, etc. You want that in a good place. Now, when it comes down to barter items, I've got some of the, pre-1970s silver coins, and I've got some, of the 1 ounce silver, the really easily tradable 1 ounce silver coins and stuff like that. And that's good to have. I think that honestly, better stuff to trade with or barter with, whiskey, cigarettes, extra food, even just taking your food and putting it in little 1 pound Mylar bags that you can actually take, just take a 1 pound bag of rice, right? That you can just easily trade that 1 pound bag of rice or pound of beans or whatever it is, assuming you have enough food. cans of tuna. Just having extra food is going to, I think, be a really good barter item. But yeah, outside of that, anything that was traditionally a luxury, tobacco, whiskey, again, the 1970s silver coins are fine to trade with. But yeah, I would focus more on consumables like that kind of stuff than necessarily coins or silver and stuff like that if I were bartering, at least in the short term. If you're looking for a very long term, after everything went down, I want to, still have a great amount of my wealth maintained. Well, yeah, having gold bars and having a lot of that to preserve that wealth is great, but not necessarily for trading. Utah Mike says, my daughter is now multi-states away from me. She works in healthcare. Well, and that's one of the tough things too, is when you get your family separated across multiple states or a different coast, and you're a parent. It's like, what do you do to help your family, your kids be prepared as they set up their own households and their own, lives in different parts that are further from you. No, I appreciate that, Matt. NS Norfolk, how you doing, man? Says diesel $5.50 a gallon in Virginia. Yeah. That's pretty rough. Somebody earlier in California said they were, or at least in one of the videos that I did, they said they're facing, I want to say $6.50 gas in California right now. So they're definitely feeling it. Bourbon and Q says ammo preps here in Illinois, they are trying to pass that every round needs to be serialized. That's wild. Wow.
That's really wild. Wow.
Individually serialize each round. That is a nightmare. Yeah, stocking up on ammo. If you have your food and water in a basic place and you happen to be a firearms enthusiast, or you have firearms, stocking ammo is not a bad idea. I still have rounds from that I got from my dad 20 years ago for some of the rifles that he handed down to me. Some of his 270 stuff. I still have some of his old 270 rounds that I still, when I go to the range, they're the ones I grab first on his old deer bolt action deer rifle he gave me. 628 says, I'm just starting out in this prepared citizen lifestyle. For me, I would think, as far as fitness goes, that endurance would be the main thing to work on. It is. I think you're right. I think endurance under weight, right? Endurance under load. So it's kind of like the rucking concept, really. So, because if you're ever having to bug out on foot, you're having to step into a prepared citizen role of some kind. You're going to be carrying kit. You're going to be carrying chest rigs, plates, armor, backpacks, gear. So it's not just endurance. It's endurance with, 40, 50 pounds of gear on, something like that. You should, Jesse T. You should. Congratulations. You should try that sample. That's for sure. Derek S. says, keeping the liquor stash secure would be a challenge. Well, I think there's a place for liquor and preparedness. I think that, there's medicinal qualities there. There is morale qualities there. And so there's cooking. You can use it for cooking and disinfecting and all kinds of different stuff. So I think there's definitely a place for it. Just say the loopholes here and delete the video. Let me finish my research, because there's one question that I have got to get answered. And again, I've sent the question out to Palmetto State, because the thing is so my mom is in South Carolina. Her daughter's in Georgia. And so we go down to South Carolina and Georgia all the time. I have a brother in Georgia as well. So we're down in Georgia, or in South Carolina, excuse me. We got a lot down there. So the question is what you can, you can, for example, so they, outlaw 30 round magazines here in Virginia. So you can anything over 15 rounds. So if I drive down to South Carolina or over to West Virginia up to, Pennsylvania or whatever, and maybe they allow 30 round AR-15 magazines there, PMags. I can buy those legally in that state, and I can drive them home to Virginia. The law does not prohibit me as a private citizen from buying something and bringing it here.
Sure, you should be saying this.
Yeah, I can say that.
I know, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, because that one I'm confident of. So now if I were to bring it here and try to sell it, that's problematic. If I were to buy it for somebody else and give them, I'm doing this kind of a smuggling thing. Oh yeah, that is a huge problem. But if it's, for me, I buy it out of state and I bring it back here, there's nothing in the law because possession is not banned. You can possess it. And it doesn't say, it says you can't, manufacture, it says you can't, et cetera, et cetera. There's all those stipulations, but you just drive it back in. So there's loopholes like that I'm working on, Christian, trying to understand the legal implications, particularly when it comes to AR-15s, AR-15 lowers. Follow me here for a second. I don't want to say too much, but AR-15 stripped lowers that have not become rifles nor pistols. Okay. So I can go down to Palmetto in Greenville, South Carolina, and I can buy a rifle AR-15. They'll sell it to me. I'm out of state. They don't care as long as I drive down there and buy it. I can bring it back. There's nothing that says I can't do that. Now, again, now follow me here. Now, what about a stripped lower? If it's never been classified as a rifle or a pistol, it's the other firearm because it's never been attached or built out. That AR-15 lower, when I bring it back here to Virginia, because it's never been a rifle or pistol, what can I do with it? Anyway, that's what I'm working on right now. We'll get into it. I don't want to dive too much into it, but just I'm asking questions. I'm not saying things. I'm just asking questions. Yeah, I actually picked up my first lower today. Jamie was sitting in the car when I ran in and grabbed it and sitting on my desk. So how much ammo should you get? Realistically, as much as you can afford, because it doesn't go bad. Like, I mean, it can go bad, but if you keep it dry and you keep it in a cool place, you can have ammo. I still have ammo from World War II. I've got a moistened Nagant I bought years ago, and I still have Greek ammo from it. Well, maybe not World War II, but it's got to be from the 60s. It's incredibly old, and it still works. So if you keep it dry, you keep it in a cool place, and you store it properly, it will last for a very, very long time. So how much can you afford? I don't say just hoard ammo. I believe in a balanced approach because you want to do food and you want to do water and you want to do defense and you want to do shelter and you want to do bug out kits and all these other things. So you want that balanced approach for sure. But if you wanted me to give you a specific number, though, to give you a better answer, bare minimum would be what I would call it 3 full loadouts per firearm. So if you are, say it's an AR-15 and you believe you should carry 8 mags, then you should have 3 times 8. So 3 reloads of how many magazines you have for that particular rifle as a minimum. That's like the starting spot. And then beyond that, obviously, because you want to be able to train, etc. A lot of people say 1,000 rounds per firearm. Some say 2. So anything like that, like I said, the more the merrier. VA Prepper says I have 2 ammo cans full of the 2 ammo cans full of the mini alcohol bottle. Oh, the mini alcohol bottles, the little travel airplane shooters, whatever they call them. That's good to have. Yeah, that's smart. That's a smart way to do it. Almost all of my alcohol preps are in full 750 mil bottles. But getting those little mini shooters, that's a great idea. I hadn't even thought about that. Great one. Usually, Mike, if it starts to get bad enough for bartering, I would never trade for silver. Fair enough. Handsome Salmon. I like that name. Handsome Salmon 16. What do you think about Sharia law court systems? I don't think it's a good idea, particularly here in the United States, because the Sharia law system, as implemented by the court system, the Sharia law court system does not jive with traditional Judeo-Christian, Greek-Roman law that we tend to follow here in the United States. It doesn't. It literally, they are perpendicular to each other. So I think it's a bad idea. I'm just going through your comments. So many good comments.
I know you're a little bit behind.
I'm very behind, I know. Handsome Salmon says, why are Americans obsessed with black color clothing? I swear, man.
That was a really good question.
Jamie's like, I would love it if you wear something not black. I wear black shirts all the time. I don't wear black shorts or pants or anything, but
the only reason why I wear light colored shirt is to offset, because he always wears black t-shirts. So I'm like, geez, how many like white colored shirts do I have to kind of offset? If we wear both dark shirts, it makes the lighting really weird. So
now, if you're talking about tactical clothing,
I know, that was funny.
I don't actually like black tactical clothing, to be honest with you. I'm a multicam or even an M81 guy. Most of my stuff's a multicam. That's just my personal preference, though. Okay, thank you, Norfolk. The A10 can loiter for about 4 hours on average. Okay. I can't remember what that little crop duster plane is called that I was talking about long time ago. All right, hold on. Let me get down there. Wow, I'm so far behind.
Yeah, that's why I was like...
Gordon's Pub, I have 2 safes for firearms and 1 for ammo. Very nice, very nice. Now, I don't actually store my ammo in a safe. I know firearms, yes. Ammo, I don't. I store them in the ammo cans, not the traditional military ones, but I started buying these plastic ones from Home Depot. They're really, really nice, and I like them a lot. See, and I think that's a great balance there, Civil Defense Bunker, to have 1 loadout per family member. That's what I aim for, right? Is 1 long gun, 1 pistol. And the long gun, maybe it's a PCC in 9, maybe it's a 5.56, maybe it's a bolt in 308. Shotguns, etc., and then 1 sidearm in pistol form, some kind of 9mm or whatever. Yeah, I thought about doing that thing to West Virginia. The problem is, then I'd have to actually do something. And I think that long term, this ban is going to actually get overturned in the courts. I think we just have to live through it for the next 3 to 5 years before it will. I think the Supreme Court's actually going to address the assault weapon and magazine limit either in this session or next year's session of the Supreme Court. So I think we'll actually get it resolved before any of the Virginia litigation gets done. Black is slimming for you guys, for us guys. It is a little bit for me. I wish it worked better. It only does so much, but.
And it's like manly, I guess, too. I think that's why you like it too.
Yeah. So Micah Morton, that's a great point. So I recently did some firearm swapping, caliber consolidation for the firearms that it makes sense for. I switched to 9mm, got some. So here's the thing is I have some, when I started into firearms, like 40 Smith & Wesson was the great compromise between 45 and 9 back in the early 2000s. And so I have quite a number of 40 Smith & Wessons. And so I would, at this point, I don't use them really. I don't shoot them and they just sit in the safe. I would love to switch them out for 9, but I take such a loss because they're just not that popular anymore. I would just take such a loss that it's like, I'll just keep them in the safe and they can just be backups or hand out guns if something ever goes down. Stuff like that. Jane Spitfire says, did you hear in Minnesota will check all people have guns? I've heard about them potentially doing that. If they move forward with that, it's going to be very, very interesting legally for them to do that, because that's like constitutionally a very questionable thing to do. What's up, Kristen's Vintage Home?
What's up, Kristen?
How are you doing?
Hey, my lovely daughter.
So the squirrels. So 40 Smith & Wesson, I have, what is it? The mid-size Glock I can't remember the number, but a mid-size Glock, a full-size Glock, and then I have a, it's a, what is it called? Springfield back in the XD. It's a Springfield XD in 40. And it's, again, I don't mind them. They're fine. And I have a ton of ammo for them. And so it's like, switching out, selling the ammo, and then switching out the firearms themselves. Just, I would lose so much in the trades that it's just, might as well just leave them in the safe and just buy more 9s as I go. Yeah, the XD40 is a really nice gun to shoot. I really like that one. Actually, I have an XD, like a mid-size one in 40, and then I have a longer, like a Glock 17 size one that's in 45, which I actually used to shoot competition with back in the day, long time ago. Micah Morton says, ever mess with the Gluger? The RX? Oh yeah, I have an RXM. I put a trigger in it and all kinds of mods to it. I really like it, actually. To me, the Ruger RXM actually has a better trigger out of the box than the Glocks do. So, and I tend to like Glocks, but I've kind of quit buying them. So we'll see. But what other concerns do you guys have? What else? I mean, we talked about Iran. We've talked about some of the legislative changes that are happening around the country. They're causing a lot of uncertainty. Christine Staley, evening all, and Jamie David, been enjoying the conference. Thank you, Christine. Hopefully you have a beautiful evening.
Good to see you. Yeah. She was on Thursday night.
Yep. For sure. Now, like I said, I am probably going to be filming a video later tonight.
Oh, I'm in bed.
Late tonight. And then and it might be that firearms one for Virginia, the loophole ones that I if I can get an answer back. I just don't know if I'll get an answer back from Palmetto State before then. So, but I really want to get their answer because it's kind of the hinge of my loopholes. So Micah, I have not done like an exhaustive 2, 3, 4, 5,000 round, through that thing. I probably put about 1,000 rounds through it. I've never had any issues through the 1,000 rounds. Again, replace the stock trigger. I've got an optic on it. It's run great for me. I've been really happy with it. Yeah, so that's a great thing with the potential issues with China. A lot of the uncertainty with Taiwan. Now is probably your best bet on upgrading your tech. I know I bought a laptop over Christmas for gaming purposes primarily. So it has a decent graphics card, lots of memory, and I'm grateful I did because the graphics card prices, the memory prices on computers has really gone up. Paradox 74 says, kind of new to your channel, but do you have any force multipliers like thermal optics, thermal nods, any brands that you'd recommend? That is something that I'd like to get into is thermal. I have not. So kind of my paradox, kind of my situation is because we have such a large family. I've really tried to focus on outfitting everybody together. So, instead of it just being like me, my wife, and like, one kid or whatever, we have 6 kids at home, 7 kids total, but 6 kids at home. And so,
who you are.
7th kid's watching the live stream right
Kristen.
now. But so, trying to kit out, that many chest rigs, that many, rifles with optics, with pistols, with pistol belt, with actual battle belts, with et cetera. So I've spent a lot of my money and effort in broadening the preps across all of us, bug out bags, all the camping gear for bugging out, et cetera. The food for such a large family for, 9 months to a year, et cetera. So, I haven't gotten into some of the higher end force multipliers. Obviously I want to get a PVS 14. That's kind of like my first thing I would buy. In that vein would be just a basic single tube night vision, and then probably what I would do is then also buy a thermal and just run the single tube when I wanted the thermal, and then I'd run the single tube when I wanted night vision, and just flip them up and down, etc., and just do it that way. Not the best idea, but Obviously, you can't run them both at the same time. Your brain would go insane and you wouldn't be able to see anything. But like I said, if you just turn the one off, move it out of the way, and use the other one, and then if you wanted to go thermal, turn it off, flip it up, pull the other down, et cetera, et cetera. Just skip night vision all the way and just go straight to thermal. There's not. So the only downside of that is then you can't see through windows. There's a few cases where having some night vision helps, but definitely thermal, I think, is the future. Definitely want to get some of that gear and kit when I can. Not necessarily there's not optics on everything. Like I've got pistols that don't have optics mounts. I haven't bothered, for the most part, other than 2 guns I had milled to put optics on. But all my old, like my 40 Smith & Wesson stuff, my 45 stuff, my older stuff, I haven't bothered. There's no optics on those. But, for all the rifles, I try to have an appropriate optic on it for whatever it's set up for. Do you have a bunker set up for NBC style fallout, or maybe even a mild partial fallout scenario? Not a bunker. We have a basement that's built into the hill. We do have, I've got some gas mask, with some of that capability, the whole bodysuit thing. And I'm familiar with how to operate a, clean zone, et cetera, but not a true bunker yet. Someday after the channel blows up and we can move out to my bunker retreat, then we will definitely do that. But we're not there yet.
No.
I would love to, but just, The illustrious ground pounder says, my wife is the prepper. Bug out bag has her CC concealed carry, also wanting me to go buy property off grid. I'm the bad one. You're not the bad one. If she's driving it and you're willing to jump on the train at some level, great. I mean, that's a great place to be. I know I'm trying to get somebody who shall remain unnamed
supportive
to get a little bit more into shooting with me.
Yeah.
So, and she said she will. So, and we're actually going to be doing a training with her and the kids, basic pistol, NRA basic pistol course. Her stepdad is actually a firearms instructor. So I've already talked to him about hiring him to actually do training for the whole family on basic pistol, basic rifle. I mean, all of them know how to shoot, but actually have the proper training with him. He's former military, without going into too much detail on his background, but he's extremely qualified to teach weapons. All right, range out your property from the main house to the farthest point to your property with your zero. That's actually a really good thing to do. And I've done that in the house. I don't know if you guys have ever actually walked to your house looking at sight lines and defensive positions and stuff. It's a fun exercise to do. I recommend you doing it when the house is empty. But outside of that, it's a fun exercise to do. But I haven't done it in the yard. But that's one thing that I do want to do as well. That's a good point. Now, I have actually drawn up, I've not done that with my weapons, but I actually have thought through how to turn my property into a fortress, like where to build stands and hides and all kinds of different stuff. Wait, hold on. Sorry. Mike Moore says, I may have flipped the best worst. I'm not sure what you mean. Utah Mike. No bunker, but you have to get a basement. Well, a basement's really helpful. It depends on where you live. Some places you can't have a basement. Out here where we are in Virginia, basements are very, very common. The house is on kind of the top of the hill, and then it falls off. So basically under the front of the house, it's completely basement. And then at the back of the house, it's a walkout basement. That's how it kind of works. So, okay, hold on. Tim DeHoo Homestead movie. Did you watch it? I love the Homestead movie. Yes. We actually took the whole family to go see that.
Took the kids to see it.
That was a great movie. It's
really good. Now, did you watch the rest of
the follow-on parts of it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we never finished the rest of it.
Huh. We got to put that on the list. I kind of forgot about it at
Yeah.
some point because we
You have to get like an
waiting for-
Angel Studio account or something to watch
Yeah.
it. We just haven't done that. No, actually, would you resist taking people in? Yes and no to a point. And I know that's a little bit of a cop out, and I don't mean it to be. I believe the only way to survive long term is with a large group. I think if you're by yourself and it's you and your wife and your kids, and it's you, that's all you're going to do is just you guys. Long term, you're at a severe disadvantage. People need community, not just from but from a survival perspective. And so, I mean, yeah, you want to have enough food for your family, but at some point, you have to start expanding out again and building that community. And so, how you do that, there's all kinds of strategies, working with different groups, setting up groups beforehand, having all your extended family come, etc. But I think that's really important, is to being able to have a sizable enough group to defend yourself, your property, and whatnot. Plus, you want to bring in skill sets that you need, because I have pretty decent medical training, I have pretty decent firearms training, I have pretty decent gardening skills, I have pretty decent etc. But you know who has a lot better firearm skills and training? Her stepdad.
Oh, I thought you were gonna be like you. No, I'm just
yeah. But he
Come on,
literally
tell them the real.
He was a door kicker for 30 years, and in the Army, and so he knows that stuff better than anybody. And so he comes here. Guess what? He's in charge of defense, not me. it's him. He's going to be in charge of it. And so but I have a lot of other skills as well. So I use my skills, and then other people coming into the group would have their skills. And so you want all the different people who come into your thing to bring something to the table. So do you want to just bring in everybody all the time? Maybe not, but you want to do it in a smart way, because you want to build your community. And obviously you want to look, some people you don't want in your group. They're not the kind of people you want in your group. And I get that too. So it's hard to do that filtering process. Matt lives in a shotgun tile house. My sightlands are pretty much what I can hit you from anywhere. Fair enough. I was sitting here like, once the channel gets big, I thought you had millions of followers. Yes, I know. I appreciate that. I appreciate you watching this channel. And I mean, don't get me wrong. I've loved the growth of the channel, but this is a passion project for me. It's not paying the bills. So it's not my day job. Someday, if it were my day job and I had, infinite time and a lot more money I could focus, I'd have a lot of fun projects to do. How many acres to the front gate? It just depends on how big a place you can get, man. So I read the book, The Road, Nick. Christian McCarthy? Cormac McCarthy was the author of The Road. Great book. And I have actually not seen the movie though, but I did read the book. Yeah, large, yep, slap shots, exactly. Large trusted group with different skill sets. Yeah, there was a fairly famous Navy SEAL, former Navy SEAL, I should say. And I do not remember his name, but he's fairly big. And he actually was on a show or something about preparedness, and he was talking, and he basically was like, yeah, I'll do whatever it takes to keep my family alive, in the sense of like, I'm going to use my skill to be a marauder and take what I need to keep my family alive, which is a terrible plan. And even take out the moral aspect of that, but just having that be your primary plan is a terrible idea. Yep. Oh, thank you, Mike. I appreciate you subscribing. I appreciate everybody subscribing. Jane Spitfire, I think we are under silent attack now. Too many home and building fires from, yeah, there's some weird stuff going on. I don't know how to quantify it. I mean, we've had a couple lone wolf potentially radical Islamist related situation and attacks. And we've had some, remember a couple of years ago, we had all of those like food processing places that just would magically catch on fire and, et cetera, et cetera. So I kind of wonder about some of those things sometimes. Not saying that they're necessarily anything, but it definitely does make you think about it. Nick says, your only defense against any threat is to not hesitate. Yeah, no, you got to be prepared to take action. That's for sure. We are politically unaligned, but I dig the way. Well, no, that's cool. And that's the thing, is that's why I try not to get too far into the politics of stuff. I try to, like with the Iran thing, I'm not going to get into whether we should have or whether we shouldn't have. But what I will talk about is what I think it could lead to, what the effects are on us at home, et cetera, et cetera. Because I don't want to get into the politics of that, the politics of anything really. Again, I'll talk about Second Amendment stuff because it's important I believe it's important for people to be prepared, that you need to be able to defend yourself and your family. So you need the best way to do that right now is with the firearm. So that's why I talk about Second Amendment stuff. But Micah says, I am a crazy armed and ready for SHTF liberal. Hey, you know what? That works. That works. We're glad you're here. That's good stuff. Yeah, training is something that I think we don't do enough of. I mean, I think many of us will actually, like for our shooting practice, we'll go to the range, we'll plink off. Maybe we'll get into doing a couple of drills, but are we actually really pushing ourselves in training? Are we training like we would fight? And I think the answer for most of us is no. And I've got to do better with that too, is to actually train more at the range like I would actually be fighting. Doing, transitions from rifle to pistol, doing a lot more rifle training. Because again, right now, primarily I do pistol self-defense, like concealed carry type training, drawing from concealment, stuff like that. Basic, Mozambique style drills and the bill drills, stuff like that with my pistol. When if SHTF kind of thing happened, if, I had to step from a regular citizen to a prepared citizen role, type of thing, the rifle is going to be my main weapon, and I just don't practice as much as I should. I love this comment. I really do, Jane Spitfire. I think what saves most Americans, we're strong fighters and have lots of independent spirits. It is in our past history of this country. Yeah, and I think that is true. We do tend to have a very independent spirit at our core. And I think that there are times in our past where we have come together and we've done what we needed to do. And so I think that we can do that when the time comes. We just have to have such a threat that it kind of distracts us all from all the side arguments about whatever political thing you want to argue about, and focus on the core things about protecting ourselves, our families, and our communities. Josh Vivigan says, I don't know where to shoot around here, but there are some indoor ranges, but I'm not rich. Yeah, indoor ranges can get pretty expensive. I don't know where you live. I know one of the best places that if you can get out in the country. I loved it out west when I lived out. Some of the places I lived out west, because you could use BLM land to go shooting, and that was great. Here I had, I joined a shooting range, land preservation group that allows shooting on their property kind of thing. So I shoot there. They have outdoor, they have a 50-yard pistol and a 100-yard rifle, and that works pretty well. They're talking about doing a 300-yard rifle, and that would be great. I would love to be able to do a 300-yard rifle. That'd be great. All right, final call for comments. We're going to be wrapping it up here in a minute. We're past 10 o'clock.
Yeah, got kids coming home. So.
Yes. Oh, they are? Okay.
Yeah, my
good
sons.
call. Good call. Yeah, no, it is. And that's what I mean. Training to hit a non-static target and having the mental capacity to fire at something like that in the real situation is definitely a really important part of training. But what is up, Natasha? How are you?
What's up, Natasha?
True. That's a great strategy, is trying to find those local sportsmen's clubs nearby, little town. You might have to drive 30 minutes or an hour away, but that's a great option. Great option. But anyway, y'all, thank you for being on the live stream tonight. Appreciate the conversation that we got to have tonight about some of our, current concerns, things that we are on our minds, whether it be, the Iran situation escalating, the effects of that on the economy, potential escalations across the board in other areas of the world, all that kind of stuff. So thank you for hopping on. More content coming. Definitely come back. Check us out. Our Thursday live streams are way more fun.
I talk a lot more too.
Yeah, Jamie talks a lot more.
I kind of like.
She just lets me do my prepper thing. But anyway, prepper. The main prepper live stream is Sunday nights at 9. We have a Patreon only live stream. If you want to support us on Patreon, go to patreon.com/the1row. But that is the Patreon one is at 8. Then we do this one at 9, and then we do our fun one at 8 o'clock on Thursdays, which is
fun one. Yeah,
our fun one. Yep. So anyway, but again, we should have a video coming out on Tuesday, and appreciate all your support. And y'all have a beautiful evening.